Not ready?
Where's our clock?
We're just stuck in here forever. There's at least windows. Are we good?
There are no clocks in Vegas.
Okay, great. I'm going to go ahead and call to order this Planning Commission meeting on Tuesday, July 1st at 2 p.m. Why don't we go ahead and do a roll call?
Commissioner Baugh?
Here.
Commissioner Byers?
Here.
Commissioner Hall?
Here.
Commissioner McLean?
Here.
Commissioner Richardson?
Here.
Commissioner Rigsby?
Here.
Commissioner Williams?
Here.
Also present is Stephanie and Britta for the Community Development Department, and you do have a quorum.
Great. We're all here for the first time in person in a while. It seems like 6 months or something. Stephanie, is Alex joining us or no?
He is not.
Okay, sounds good. Well, let's continue on then. At this time, if there's any conflicts of interest, we need to declare them from the commission. Are there any?
No, sir. None. None.
All right, sounds great. Let's move on then to number 2, certification of compliance with resolution 2025-01. Stephanie?
I do certify that the properties and meeting were posted in accordance with Resolution 2025-01 and 5493 of the Municipal Code.
Great. Thank you for that. Bullet 3, approval of agenda.
Chairman Rigsby, before we approve the agenda, I would like to make a request that we strike item 7A for old business for the continuance of the ordinance for the metal siding and architectural designs. During the last meeting, we had further discussions on bringing back together the committee and getting more guidance from the community. So we are actively seeking out additional ordinances from other community members in town or in the state. And then we are going to be setting up a series of 3 meetings. One, we're hoping to get with the contractors and realtors, one with the Midtown Association and the Chamber, and then one will be a general open for the public before we bring it back. So if we could continue to table this item until those 3 subsequent meetings have been completed.
Okay, sounds good. Any discussion on that from the board?
No.
Okay.
Felt it was a good thing. More information was good.
Sounds great. With that in mind, then, I would entertain a motion for approval of the agenda with the stated removal.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented with the item 7A.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on motion? Seeing none, let's move to a roll call vote.
Commissioner Baugh?
This is just agenda.
Yes.
Commissioner Byers?
Aye.
Commissioner Hall?
Yes.
Commissioner McLean?
Aye.
Commissioner Richardson?
Aye.
Commissioner Rigsby?
Aye.
Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Awesome. All right, we have an agenda. Now we move to number 4, approval of our last meeting minutes from June 3rd, 2025. Any corrections or discussion on the meeting minutes as presented in your packet? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as presented from the regular meeting of June 3rd, 2025.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's move to a roll call vote.
Commissioner Baugh?
I'll abstain. I was absent.
Commissioner Byers?
Aye.
Commissioner Hall?
Aye.
Commissioner McLean?
Aye.
Commissioner Richardson?
Aye.
Commissioner Rigsby?
Aye.
Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Motion carries with 1 abstain.
Great, let me sign this so I don't forget. And let's move to bullet point 5, public input. So before I open this up, just some info for the group. Public input is for any item that we don't have currently on the agenda. If you want to bring something to our attention as a commission, now would be the time. But if you're here to speak for or against or on behalf of an item that we have in our agenda, you will get your opportunity a little bit later. So at this time, I'll go ahead and open for public input. Awesome. All right, we'll go ahead and close for public input then, since there's no one here to give us input. But let's, let's move to number 6, quasi judicial public hearings. The first one, Stephanie, variance case PV 2025-57. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Yes, Commission, today we are rehearing a variance request for the property located at 120 Buckingham Drive. The request is being sought to encroach 16.83 feet into the 20-foot front yard setback to reconstruct a 240-square-foot garage. Currently, this property is a built property. The existing improvements are within the required 20-foot setbacks, which did decrease to 15. The topography of the property does limit him in where he could be able to build, so that grants him the opportunity to come and request for the variance with y'all today. The previous hearing, there was discussions on possible relocations that would not warrant a variance process. Unfortunately, all of that was reviewed and gone through thoroughly, and the way the topography and the build out of the property is, there would be no way Mr. Orr and his family could build another garage or any type of structure that would not require a variance. So we are bringing this forth again today for your review and further discussion and questions.
Okay, thanks, Stephanie. And I believe the applicant is on Zoom, and I think there's another couple representatives here in the audience as well. So, Mr. Orr, good to see you again.
Thank you.
Do you mind raising your hand, stating your name, and say you'll tell the truth, nothing but the truth?
I, Robert Orr, promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Okay, great. So Stephanie, we've obviously heard the facts of this case again, but is there any other additional facts that you would want to present, Mr. Orr?
I don't think so.
Okay.
The previous meeting, the Planning Commission approved a carport on the same footprint, and I'm a little confused as the difference between a carport and a garage in that property.
Okay. Any other items that you would like clarified or anything else that you'd like to present? Because we can respond with the carport comment, but anything else that you would like to present for the case for the variance?
The other comment that the group made was that it would set a precedent, and I, under the impression that the whole purpose of a variance is to set a precedent. So I'm a little confused as the previous result, and I was in the process of starting an appeal when Stephanie recommended that I come back to you for a revisit.
Okay. Thank you for that information. Anything else before we open it up to public comment, and then maybe we can get some clarity on some of the questions that you had?
Nothing else, thank you.
Okay. Stephanie, before I open it up for public comment, maybe you can comment from the village perspective about the carport, because I know that
Versus garage.
was commented, was one of the points of contention.
So typically, whenever there are variances that are being asked for in the front, open structures are easier to approve within the setback for visibility ranges rather than an enclosed structure. However, those are all based on case-by-case scenarios, what kind of obstruction and location, along with the topography of each property.
So, putting it otherwise, the carport isn't allowed encroachment into an open-sided carport is allowed into the front yard setback, or no?
Within a distance, there is an allotment that is 10 feet, I believe, within the residential districts,
Okay, thank you.
where
for that.
enclosed structures are 15.
Okay, thank you for that. All right, at this time then, thank you for that clarification. We'll go ahead and open it for public comment. This is the opportunity for anybody that wants to speak for or against this variance. And then the commission will probably have some questions and some discussion, but I'll open up for public comment. Please, you gotta come, we gotta swear you in. It's a whole thing, let me tell you. Uh-huh. Mrs. Orr, if you'll just raise your right hand, say you'll tell the truth, and then state your name as well.
I, Marilyn Orr, promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Thank you. And is that mic on? It should be green.
Green or
Yes,
red?
it is green.
Okay,
Yep, we
perfect.
can
There we
hear
go.
you.
Just a little more volume.
Sorry, been
No, you're okay.
cleaning house today. In Black Forest, one of the things that we have known for years and years is that the survey and the street do not work together very well at all. When it was first done, it was, can I just say, awkward. And the nice thing about this garage as it is, and we hope to build almost exactly on the same footprint with a little bit of extension, is that it is so far down below the road that it is almost not seen from the street. The driveway comes in and scoots down in front of the house, and then the garage is at the end of that driveway. The bank goes up extensively on the side where the tree fell on it from the grindstone fire years ago. So just the idea that if it were a carport, I can see the bank, the mudslide coming into the carport, but if it stays as a carport down below, again, on almost the same footprint, it should not encroach or be unsightly.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you all very
Yes.
much.
Other comments for or against this item? Okay, last call, because then we're just going to ask Mr. Orr any questions that we as a commission might have. Okay, I'll go ahead and close public comment and then open it up to commission discussion and questions. Commissioners, any questions for staff or the applicant? I have one. So Steph, usually when there is some sort of denial or we don't vote on anything, we usually have to wait 6 months. Is there a reason why we're seeing this applicant so quickly after? Is it a new information? Was it information not provided appropriately in the first place? Is there a reason we're seeing them so quickly?
There was a resolution passed that waived the reapplications for denials to expedite any processes due to the South Fork and Salt fires. So at this time, those timeframes are still being waived.
Okay, good to know. Has there been anything that we've learned of or discovered since the last time we were together that would be applicable for the commission?
No, after reviewing the last meeting, it kind of seemed like it just got steered off on the wrong. There was a lot of communications about needing variances, which from staff and the property views from the case study, I was hoping to depict and provide to you guys a clear instance of visual impacts, also the slope and steepness, showing the need and how he meets the criteria for a variance to be granted. And I know that the significant setback of only 2 feet from the property line is quite a bit more than what is typically granted. However, the pictures that you see on page 12 of 66 do show, and 13 show where the garage is in relation to the edge of their driveways and vehicular traffic. So there's a significant grade drop that will further support the claim that there would be no visual impaction.
Okay, thanks, Steph. I'll provide maybe just some comment for the commission. I think the last time we got together and discussed this one, I believe we thought that a carport would be a viable option without the need for a variance. It sounds as though a variance is needed regardless with either one. I know that we're particular about variances and we're trying to be as a commission. I think that this one there, the structure's already there. He can't do the carport, the open-sided carport, and I do think that there is a hardship based off of the lot. So I think those are the comments that I'll make, because I know that we went back and forth last month on it.
Yeah, I would just add that if you actually look at the topo and the distance, you've got close to a 40-foot drop and about a 100-foot or 110-foot wide lot, so that's like a 30% grade. So, yeah, there's definitely a topographic challenge on that lot, and the address could tell you that, but it's definitely challenged. You're not gonna relocate that any other place on that lot, at least from what it looks like on the topography, without building a 30-foot wall, and I don't think anybody wants to do that. No.
I'm in agreement. I feel like, they're going to upgrade the pre-existing situation, and I don't see it being an encumbrance on the neighbor's property I feel like we're here to help people achieve what they're wanting to, and the variance is to be granted when there is a hardship situation. And I feel like this is a hardship because of, and the way I counted it, it's closer to 50 foot of elevation between this corner and that corner.
Yeah, probably from the road, yeah.
So that to me is, a hardship. And it is pre-existing. They're going to improve. And yeah, they're coming over 2 foot to accommodate, make it a little easier to get in and out of a vehicle, which is understandable. And with the slope sides of the existing structure versus the straight sides of a newer structure, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments, concerns?
Want a motion?
If not, I'd take a motion and we can.
Okay. Based upon the foregoing findings of fact per 54-92, 54-66, and 54-140 of the Village Code, I move to grant the requested variance for case number PV 2025-57 with the condition stated in the case report.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, and before we open it up to roll call, Stephanie, we need 2/3 majority to approve a variance, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Any discussion on that motion or the conditions stated in the case report?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Seeing none, then let's move to a roll call vote.
Commissioner Baugh,
Aye.
Commissioner Byers,
Aye.
Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner McElina,
Aye.
Commissioner Richardson,
Aye.
Commissioner Rigsby,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you. Thank you all here. Thank you, Mr. Orr, we appreciate it. Stephanie will have a document for you to sign.
Thank you very much.
Great.
Goodbye.
Yep. All right, let's move to the next one, 6B, conditional use, use case CU 2025-100. Stephanie, what can you tell us about this?
Today we have Justin Huffman on behalf of the Boxcar Alley LLC. They are requesting approval for an artesian manufacturing. On the agenda, I classified him as a brewery. That was incorrect. He's technically a distillery. They fall within the same artesian definition and state-related items. However, I wanted to make clarification. It's not for a brewery. It is for a distillery located within the Midtown District at 2515, Suite 9A, Suttereth Drive, Lot 8A, Block K of the Ruidoso Springs subdivision. Mr. Huffman is available for questions.
Excellent. Mr. Huffman, if you'll raise your right hand, say you'll tell the truth, nothing but the truth.
Justin Huffman, I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Thank you. Justin, tell us a little bit about what you're looking to do.
So we're going to be, our intent is to open a distillery there in the space indicated on page 22 of 66. You can see it outlined in a 3D diagram there. There is actual physical Connex boxes on the ground where the distillery space is intended to be placed. Super small batch distillation, pretty boutique craft stuff that we're gonna be putting in there. And then the adjacent, or the front-facing building upstairs would be the rooftop tasting room and bar, where we would have kind of a craft cocktail experience taking place.
Very nice. Excellent. Anything else that you'd want to talk or mention on your application? If not, we'll open it up.
I just think that, I've obviously been involved with a lot of the Midtown Association stuff previously with tourism, and a lot of the focus is driving economic development, retention of business owners within our community, development and flourishment of business owners within our community, and also new employers, new opportunities for some of our community members to have jobs that didn't previously exist. And I feel like, outside of just the normal bartending, the actual distillation space is going to be a career opportunity for somebody once I get somebody trained to actually fulfill that role. And then obviously we'll have a couple management roles that'll be more career-oriented opportunities. So we're looking to really expand, get this going and really grow this within this community and be a strong presence like some of the other businesses that we've started here and that our family owns and operates here.
Great, thank you, appreciate that. At this time, we'll open it up if there's public comment. They'll have the opportunity to answer any questions that they might have for you, and I'll go back and forth as needed. But anybody would like to come down, comment on this item? Okay. If you'll just sit on the first row, Justin, we'll get you back up here in a second. Yeah. You'll just raise your hand, state your name, say you'll tell the truth.
Stephanie Garcia, I promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Thank you.
As another representative of Boxcar Alley, I'm actually going to be property manager of the space. I do believe that he is bringing in a business that is going to do exactly as he said, and it will create career opportunity. It's also going to be something different for people to experience while they are in the Midtown area. Yes, we do have a lot of the breweries, but we do not have a space that he's going to be running with the distillery that will eventually attach to the rooftop bar, which is going to provide a unique experience for everybody. So, just wanted to speak on behalf of Mr. Huffman.
Great. Thank you, Stephanie. Other comments? Seeing none, unless there's somebody online, did they sign
No,
up
that
to
is
comment?
that. She is the property owner, but she is present for the next case.
The next one, okay. All right, seeing no more comments, then I'll go ahead and close public input and open it up to commissioners' questions for either staff or for Mr. Huffman.
I got a question for Mr. Huffman. So are you looking at doing a singular liquor, or are you looking at doing multiples, or, bourbon, tequila? What are you looking at?
Great question. So bourbon and tequila, one tequila we'll be bringing in. It's just a product that is not something that I want to make. So I'll be bringing it in by the barrel and then bottling it on site. So bourbon will be actually a similar process. We'll be purchasing it in through Indiana, bottling it on site. Those are going to be blending experiences that we're going to introduce to the community. So kind of having more of a hands-on kind of experience. So those are the two that we'll be bringing in. Outside of that, yes, we're going to do a couple different things. Vodka and gin, which are essentially the same thing. Gin's just flavored vodka. And then the other one we'll be doing is what my wife from Eastern Europe calls rakia, which is brandy. So think apple brandy. Apricot brandy, peach pear brandy, and grape brandy. So we plan on using New Mexico produced fruit and really focusing on helping our local orchards with those fruits and helping them be able to sell that product instead of letting it hit the ground and rot. So that's one of our big goals is working with those local producers to get that fruit.
Thank you. And you're also the property owner for Boxcar Alley?
I am not the property owner for Boxcar Alley. We're a tenant.
Okay. And you already signed the lease agreement with the assumption that you would put this in there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Steph, did you mention that the owner is here?
She is present online, if we had any questions.
Okay,
Jasmine and Lance Rowe are the property owners.
okay. Any questions for the property owner, since we have them? Okay,
So this is going to be a conditional use that's attached to the property, right? Not the user in particular. It would stay with that property.
At the specified, location. So he's going to be occupying suite 9A. So this, conditional use would be tied to that suite as there, have been identified, requirements to meet state and also fire codes and building codes, to make sure that site is safe, due to the materials that he would be using and the product that he is creating. So it would be site-specific only to Unit 9A.
So you have your liquor license.
I have a federal liquor license. The state, this is a part of the state process here. I have to get a variance for that particular location in order to get it. The feds do not require any sort of municipal variance. They've already issued it for that facility, but the state does require it, for obvious reasons.
Can I ask perhaps a foolish question, but are your materials flammable?
Yes, ma'am, they are.
Highly flammable? No, but
It's liquor, so yes, ma'am. I mean, I'm sure you've been to bars where they spit out fire on the.
I always use 151, you know?
Well, I don't know if I'll be drinking or making any of that, but, I'll just address this. I've already been working with the local fire marshal. So Stephanie was kind enough to provide me their phone number. I've already had conversations about what needs to take place. So just to, give you a full, concept, one, these are within a Connex box. So if you know anything about the way they train fire department officials, is they do light Connex boxes on fire and send them in and show them how to actually put fires out. So one, it is a contained unit that's gonna be a little bit safer than just a stick and plywood building. Two, it does require per the village's ordinance, the way that we approach our fire rules here, I can't remember exactly what it's called, but you do have to have full fire suppression. So there's three options out there that we are currently looking at. There's water, which one of those, water is, one concern is we'd drown people in that Connex box if we did water, because it'd fill up so fast. The other is chemical, so you can do a chemical suppression system, which is similar to water, where you have overhead that spits out a chemical and does a chemical suppressant. So chemical is what we're likely gonna be moving forward with. It does have to be engineered, so you have to have the full engineering stamped and then sent up to the state fire marshal for approval, final approval, and then our local fire marshal will go ahead and sign off on that. But that's a great question.
Or, I guess, a staff question. Is there anything in their building permit that requires a facade other than looking at Connex steel that's like 5 different colors and generally unaesthetic and unappealing?
No, so the development of the, Boxcar Alley was, previously approved administratively. And all of those discussions were, held outside of public hearing, unfortunately.
I can comment on the
So,
color.
how it's set up is they're only, required to have the facade, coverage is off of anything that's visible from Sutterth Drive.
There is a uniformity of color that's taking place on those buildings once all the welding and fabrication gets done. That's primarily why a lot of it hasn't been painted and finalized. But the primary color that you see on the top building and part of the stairs is gonna be one of the primary colors on the property. And they're gonna have a couple of primary colors that are pretty mountainous and mellow, not like, because right now it does look a little scattered and unappealing.
with this, you'll go through the state regulations. Have they, to your knowledge, and I won't hold you to this, but just to your knowledge, have they seen distilleries in similar containers elsewhere?
There's, I wouldn't say similar well, I don't know specifically on containers. I do know that there are small distilleries dotted throughout the state, including one down in Las Cruces. It's about 700 square feet. And we're just about 500 square feet at that location, just the distilling property.
Gotcha.
Building.
Do you know the distance from your proposed box to the property to the, I guess that would be the east? So you're pushed up against that eastern property line. Do you know the distance?
So that would be, are you talking about, if you're talking about next door, if we're looking to the south, the property line is pretty close right there. I don't know the exact measurements. I haven't been a part of that process.
Okay.
There is a land gap there. The water lines and everything kind of run through it right now. Then there's a small sidewalk, it's a small sidewalk, and then you have the building next to that.
Gotcha. Are you going to be the only one that can apply for a liquor license on this property?
The entire property, is gonna be, we're gonna request that the entire property has the liquor license on it, so there's gonna be controlled exit points on it. And so that's what we're gonna be, attempting to do at the state level, is get that approved for the entire property.
Yeah, because I guess my concern is if you're distilling in Unit 9A or whatever, and then you're walking across the property to the rooftop bar, you'd have to have it for the entire property, right?
Only if you were taking alcohol between the two, and when I say taking alcohol, that'd be open container, or if somebody was purchasing in the distillation space. But you are allowed to transport alcohol, sealed contained alcohol that's made on site, up to the bar without an entire property being approved. So it
Gotcha.
really comes down to open container, open beverage rules.
So you're not going to be serving in the distillery, you're just going to be creating in this unit, and then it'll be served on site?
You're not technically allowed to serve in a distillation space.
Okay.
So at least from my understanding, now, well, I will say this, you go to pretty much any brewery or winery in the country, in the state of New Mexico, you're probably gonna get a glass of wine or beer as you're walking through the facility, but we're gonna follow the rules.
Okay.
So, it's too small of a space to have
Yeah.
a bunch of people in there like that.
And so the only time somebody might be tasting within that is if they're doing one of these crafted experiences with a professional on site. It won't be people walking up to the distillery to get a glass of.
I appreciate you calling me a professional. Maybe in 18 to 24 months. Yes, that's correct. So, it'd be more like sampling, and it's going to be the process that I have experienced during this, just because alcohol is strong, is, a spit process. So you sample it, you spit it out into a bucket, you have a spit bucket, and that's really been the process that encourages safe alcohol consumption, but also helps them understand what they're blending together to make a unique bottle for themselves.
Gotcha. So this is a question for Stephanie. There's obviously a state licensing for the distillery, for the liquor permit, for the property, rooftop bar versus the distillery. We are just looking at the scope of, can he create these blends, et cetera, in this 9A, not anything else, correct?
Correct. So there are levels of alcohol creations and servings, and anything that is being created under the artisan manufacturing, that is what requires the conditional use. The sales and consumption is a permissive use, so we are only having to identify and each case by case that would qualify under the artisan manufacturing.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, I probably say that word so wrong, but I hope you know what I'm saying.
I don't know. I went to a state school. I don't know anything.
I don't know.
Okay, other questions for the applicant before we badmouth my university anymore?
Will there be packaged liquor sold on this property as well?
Yeah, so again, this would be separate from the distillation space, but the packaged liquor, if you're looking at page 22 of 66, that's gonna be the rooftop tasting room. That's where you'll be able to come in, get a craft cocktail, and if you wanna take one of our bottles away, you'll be able to walk away with one of our bottles there.
So you've got an old liquor license. I don't know if you know it or not.
Well, this one's a distillation license, so it's a little different than the full state liquor license. Those ones are pretty tough to come by, especially with package. So this is gonna be specifically craft-made products that we make. We are technically allowed to sell other products made in New Mexico as well, so we will be carrying some other New Mexico-made products, but the only packaged liquor we'll be selling is our own product.
And there's a bar on the property as well, is that correct?
Yes, sir. So the rooftop tasting room, there's going to be an open patio, and then within the rooftop tasting room, it's going to be the actual bar location where you're able to come in, have a cocktail, and maybe purchase a bottle from us, if we're lucky.
Stephanie, this is a hypothetical, and it might be outside the scope, but since we're doing this specifically for the unit and not the plat of land, technically there could be 5 other applicants that could do 5 other distilleries, or one could do a distillery, one could do a brewery, one could do a pot shop if they wanted to roll joints, right? I know that those are different governments that manage all those, or entities. Is there a reason we're doing it? Do we have to do it for this particular space, for this artisan into the manufacturing?
Yes, so, advisement to staff, from going through the alcohol and licensing and looking through the rest of the approved materials, and trying to accommodate the development as there are no, fully secured layouts of all of the tenants for this location. It would be, quite encumbersome for them to get all of the containers up to the level of needing of what Mr. Huffman would be needing for fire suppression and certain things like that, unless that type of use required it. Each use is going to come with a different set of specifications on what the state regulates for that type of material to be manufactured in. So wheat and barley is not under the same constraints as the products that Mr. Huffman uses for the spirits.
Okay. I think that's fair. I think my concern, I'm on board with one distill or one still at this property, or however you're doing your business. My concern becomes if there's 3 or 4 others that are doing the same thing, it becomes commercial manufacturing run by 6 different people, essentially, right? And that's, in my opinion, the opposite of what this is intended. It's intended for a small operator like Mr. Huffman to distill his alcohol in this one particular location as part of a larger property. I have the concern that if we approve him and somebody else comes for a conditional use and somebody else comes for a conditional use, and this might not happen, but at one point there might be 5 or 6 different distilleries on this small property, then it becomes commercial. So that's the concern that I have. It might not happen that way.
Could we put a limit,
Could we put it in just a condition?
a condition?
That's what I don't know, because we're talking about a unit within a plat. So it would expand the scope of Mr. Huffman's
So that's what you-
application. So it's almost a different question.
So they would be reviewed case by case.
Right.
And seeing what type they are being requested, because this is supposed to be an incorporation of a full mixed retail establishment, between food, liquor, and general retail, sales and services. So, but what the mixture and the layout, that's not guaranteed, but we do know exactly where, Mr. Huffman's proposal is going to be within the mix, for both where he's going to be having the alcohol, sales, and then where he's going to be doing the manufacturing. So I would feel we are secure in being able to identify and keep the safety precautions regulated to a site specific.
Okay. And so then if Mr. Huffman, he's going to be very successful in this, he's going to want to expand to 2 stills, for example. He'll have to come back for another unit that he's renting in that space for the conditional use.
Yes.
Okay. I'm sure she talked you through that, but I'm just,
I'm aware of that. I kind of view these as independent projects, so if that ever did happen, but, I'm aware that I'd have to come back for an additional variance. But at that point, if I grow that point, fingers crossed, we'll go out to the county and get a big metal building.
you're right.
Mr. Chairman, I can tell you, he's got a substantial amount invested in that liquor license he's got, and I'm talking substantial.
Yeah.
So based on the state regulations, we'd have to be careful on what we did and didn't do because of what state will allow him to do with his liquor license.
Help me expand on that. What did,
Well, if he's got a package license and a
Right.
consumption license too, on that premise, and he's aware right now that he's got to be careful with open containers. And at some point in time, let's say he has an event down there and he gets a picnic license, and that surrounding encompassed areas within that picnic license, that he can have open containers.
Based
So
on,
he could have one on one side, one on the other, one over here. Based on his investment, it's legal.
gotcha.
And I can take, say, for example, my license, and I can lease it out to somebody else as a picnic license. So the liquor laws they're different.
Gotcha.
And
So so,
sometimes they're a little bit open and you're like, this is great for the business. And then
Yeah.
sometimes you're like, that's not enough. I want more.
Commissioner Ball, I think we're talking two different licenses here, and I don't know if the nuances are important, but there's the New Mexico alcohol producer's license, and the federal alcohol producer's license is different than the New Mexico alcohol sales and dispensers license, and even from a package standpoint. So the way New Mexico law is written, if you're a New Mexico like craft distiller, brewer, or winemaker, it does allow you within up to 3 tasting rooms to sell packaged liquor of any New Mexico product. Whereas I think the license you're referencing is which is extremely expensive and they do get leased out. Those licenses are specific to folks that maybe want to open a restaurant or bar, but they don't want to produce their own product.
Sure.
So I don't want to mislead anybody. I have invested time, energy, and money into this, but not to the extent that a lot of folks have with those $500,000 to $750,000 licenses. The other clarifying point I do want to make is the entire facility is intended to be used as an open beverage space. So the way that the facility is set up, it has natural barriers to the south, to the east, to the west with buildings, and there's controlled choke points that you can go in and out, which means we can, assuming the state approves it and we come back to village council and whomever else needs to approve the process, we can actually have an open container concept down there where they could come get a drink from our bar, walk around to the different retail outlets within that facility, and then we just have to monitor to ensure that nobody's leaving our facility as a whole with that beverage without actually pulling a picnic permit. So that is the intended use and the planned use, and how we're gonna go about the application process.
But you still fall under the dram shop laws as well.
I'm not sure what that is, sir, I'm sorry.
You better talk to a lawyer, I'm telling you. 'Cause, well, I won't even go there. Find out about the dram shop laws.
I'll write that down.
Will there be another liquor license on this property then, as you're describing it? You're the license.
So I am the license. Per the lease agreement, there are protections for each vendor in the space that there's not gonna be non-competitive. With that being said, there is what's called a alternating proprietorship license that I technically could apply for within the same distillation space that would allow me to open a brewery within that space. Then I would be able to label my own beers within that space as well, if I so chose to do. I don't have any plans to do that immediately, but long-term, there may be a point where I come back and have the exact same meeting for conditional use variance for a brewery in the exact same space that we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
Again, there's no plans right now, but that could be a long-term concept if I want to contract out to, let's say, Downshift to brew kegs of beer for me labeled under my name and my license. That's totally doable.
Can I ask Stephanie, are all of our conditional uses attached to a particular building?
To a particular site, yes. So we do.
Not like lot, but building, because that's what we're doing here as opposed to just saying this lot has this conditional use, right?
So there are ways that you can do your conditional use. So they can't be granted for a particular person, but they are granted for a particular use at a particular location. Additional safeguards can be placed for revocation at a certain point of time or upon certain conditions, requests to be reviewed and renewed, or just the denials. So with this, we don't have a comparable to answer your question on what we're doing for Justin. But we do have the same kind of, safeguards in place when we approve the food trucks. They are tied to a specific business at that location. So we can continue to ensure that the compatibility of what goes in there in the future still meets the allowance of a food truck. So it's along the same instances.
But this isn't a legal description. I mean, I know we're talking
The
about,
legal description is for the whole property.
Right.
But it does specify 2515 Sutter Suite 9A.
right. But the conditional use is typically tied to the property.
Right, not the person.
Would we be having this same conversation if it was in a strip mall on one line? Like, I mean, because it's technically individual tenants within a specified space, correct?
That's where I'm struggling, because it's not a strip mall where it's clearly divided, and people can walk from your property to another part of the property.
A strip mall would be the exact same instance in what he's explaining, though. It's all one property, just one continuous building with individual units.
But a strip mall would have to be, if they're gonna walk around with open container, it had to be fenced in. They couldn't leave the premises.
Right.
What I'm requesting though is the variance to actually do the manufacturing. That's gonna be a second meeting that we're gonna have to come in and have once the state approves the plot, the way that I'm presenting it for open container on the entire property. So it really depends on how the state dictates what I'm allowed to do within the space, and then coming and requesting approval to go ahead and get the license approved there, which then we're gonna have to post again on property and go through essentially the same process.
Yeah.
So this is really specific to the manufacturing within that suite in the property.
And this type of approval is one of his first steps, because before he can go forward any further with the state, he does require a zoning statement showing it's approved. However, if I go into, and that's where we found that we had to go through this process, is I cannot give him a conforming status because it requires a conditional use. So without the approval today, he can't get his zoning confirmation to move forward with the state to do that, to move into the next step of obtaining the liquor license through the council and have that public posting, and it's an ordeal. This is just the first layer of Mr. Huffman's onion.
Okay. For the artisanal development, the distilling, the byproduct of the distillation, is there plans to dispose of that on site? Or how is that going to get from your unit through mixed retail to a disposal?
When you say the byproduct, are you talking about the waste product or the actual finished product?
The waste product.
The waste product is, it's essentially must, so it's stripped, it's sugar water that's been stripped of, well, all of its sugar and all of its liquor. So that's gonna go down the drain into the standard sewage.
And there's no need for, and I'm sure the state regulates all that.
There's a grease trap requirement from my
Yeah.
understanding, just like you guys approved for, well, I don't know you specifically, but for, the Hidden Tap or Downshift Brewing Company.
Yeah.
Yeah, grease traps are required for any establishment that would be doing anything within their sinks other than hand washing. So any foreign types of material, grease, anything like that does require by municipal ordinance that a grease trap is installed.
And that'll come in front of us when we do a site development plan, or no? Where the grease traps are
His
gonna
grease
go?
trap requirement would go through the building permit phases, and when he starts to construct that into his workspace. Right now, they're all being set, but they haven't been built for individual tenants.
That's already been done through the actual property owner. So
Okay.
they've been building a lot of this out to spec for us, because we've been a part of this process for nearly 5 years now, 4 or 5 years now. So they've already gone through ahead of time through a lot of their building process to get this done in advance. So that's kind of a little bit separate there.
Yeah,
I'm sure we'll have to
sorry.
prove grease trap, but it's approved already through them.
Yeah, our internal departments will inspect that during the business registration, but
Okay.
the installation would be done during the building permit process.
Sounds good.
Accept the motion?
You can always make a motion.
Based upon the foregoing findings of the fact, per 54-66, 54-68, and 54-70, and 54-85 of the Village Code, I move to grant the requested conditional use approval for case CU 2025-100 with the conditions stated in the case report.
A second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Comments? Seeing none, let's move to a roll call vote.
Commissioner Bach,
Aye.
Commissioner Byers,
Aye.
Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Michelina,
Aye.
Commissioner Richardson,
Aye.
Commissioner Rigsby,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
motion carries.
There you go.
Have fun.
All right, well, I'll be seeing y'all again for sure. It's,
Yes.
it's a big stinky onion, as Ms.
Aye.
Stephanie said.
Remember these faces.
Yeah, remember these things. Well, not yours.
Mine's kind of hard to forget.
That's his headache, not
We
mine.
found this loophole though, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, I'm just glad it's his headache, not mine. I'm just,
Yeah.
too much for me.
Yeah.
It's the easiest way to make a living, I think. I don't know how yet, but I think there's gotta be easier ways.
I was a bartender.
Appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for being prepared. It's always good when people have the answers to our questions. Yeah. Yeah, you did. I appreciate that. All right, let's move to the next one. Thanks, y'all. Stephanie, what do we got for site plan and concept approval 2025-103?
So, today, for this request, we are having a site plan and concept approval for Lance and Jasmine Rowe, who are requesting the approval to develop a metal building to be used as a commercial office within the C3 Midtown Commercial District located at 125 Texas Street, lots 40 and 41, Block K of the Ruidoso Springs subdivision. The intent for this development is a relocation of their current business endures of the backcountry attitudes that are located further down on Suttereth in the 1700 block. So this new property will keep them closer to the Connex place and give them more of a centralized location for the rest of their opportunities. They do have Stephanie here to present on any questions and concerns. Jasmine and Lance are available online as well.
Okay. But Stephanie, you'll be coming up and doing the presentation? Okay.
I don't know.
We'll have you come back down and say your name, raise your hand again, and then tell us a little bit about, on behalf of the property owner, what the plan is.
Stephanie Garcia, I promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Thank you.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. So what we plan on doing with this space is this is actually going to be used as our garage space. The actual area where we will be doing our self-guided tours will be out of the Boxcar Alley space. There are two 40-foot containers towards the very back of it. That's where we're going to be having all of our machines moved to daily, but whenever they are being washed, stored, worked on, all of our belts, tires, anything that we will need to have for storage will be put in this space down on Texas. So it is not really going to be an open to the public commercial space. It is going to be just for Backcountry Attitudes employees who will be needing that space before and after any of the rentals go out. We did have our survey. I don't know if you guys got all of that. That was
That will
done
be the
and sent
additional
over. Yes, that's the
One
additional.
that just came out today, that was not supplied in the packet.
So you will see on there, our surveyor has put a proposed building of 40 by 60. What we have actually designed is a 40 by 40 building that we are hoping to get as close to that northeast corner as we can. We are hoping to be able to tie into the city water at some point, which we know will probably have to come from Texas way above us, but on that survey, there is that Juanita Avenue that was never built. It was originally surveyed, I believe, back in 1995, whenever there was another proposal that was going to be added, but at this point, it is just watershed, and there does just seem to be an easement through there, a utility easement for sewer and possibly water. So we are hoping to tie into that area over there. We are going to be having some wash racks for our machines. We do plan on providing some kind of a drain catch before it does go into the sewer over there. And then we are hoping to have enough space to utilize parking outside as needed for any of the machines that need to be outside, as well as grading to a point where we don't have a 90-degree driveway going into there, because it is very steep at the moment. But that is what we are proposing at this moment. I do have our checklist that we have addressed some of the things on that was sent back to us. And if you have any questions, I can hopefully answer any questions that you might have on that.
Great. I will go ahead and open it up for public comment. Anybody wants to comment for or against this item? Okay, close public. Yeah, come on down.
This is a coincidence, I didn't know she was gonna be here.
Raise your hand again. We'll hear who you are.
I, Justin Huffman, swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Great.
I think that since Boxcar Alley or Backcountry Attitudes, not Boxcar Alley, has come into the community, they've done nothing but contribute amazing things to this community, including growing the business, creating a concept and a tourism concept, and a whole new venture that really didn't exist prior to them coming in. Even down to really pushing with the DOT to get ordinances passed to allow OHV within our community. That's a pretty unique thing that we have here, and they've really been a driving force in our community. So having something like this variance, allowing this variance in place and allowing them to continue to grow that business, I think is absolutely critical for the success of what they're trying to do. I think they're really long-term thinkers. They've been long-term members of this community. In fact, many of them were probably born here and grew up here. And so I just hope that you guys consider giving them the approval to move forward. One of the hardest things, as many of you know, as a business owner, is jumping through a lot of the hoops that we have to with the rules and regulations that the government puts down on us. So we appreciate you hearing us when we come to these variances and really being understanding as business owners. We spend a lot of money to try to get our businesses and dreams off the ground and create an environment where we can foster economic vitality. So I hope that you consider it and hopefully make this easy on them.
Yeah, thanks, Justin. Anyone else? Seeing none, I'll close public input and open it up to commissioner questions. And I'm going to take the first question. So, Stephanie, you'll be doing repairs to the OHVs or the OTVs or the side-by-sides at the property?
Just don't call them ATVs.
Okay, I won't call them ATVs. Stephanie, that's not an office. So tell me why I know that offices are permitted use, and I don't want to gunk up this process, but I would consider that automobile repair, and I don't believe that's permitted within C3.
I received a written statement on the exact proposal and intended use for the property. And their opening statement, I did not enter into the case study, I apologize, listed that this would be a commercial office space where they would be correlating different types of business activities for the rentals. They would also be doing minor oil changes and wash downs of the buggies, but would not be open to the public. But their intent, according to the written response that we were provided, was a commercial office.
I have the description right here that let me read it.
Yes,
Okay, because is this the one that didn't get in the?
I am not quite sure.
Okay, our plans will be to build a metal building on a concrete slab on our property at the end of Texas Street behind Town Square. We will comply with an approved metal material or stucco through the VOR on exterior elevations of the building. The roof will be a gable roofing system at the lowest pitch. The shop itself will have 2 bay doors to store and do minor repairs and maintenance on machines. We will have a cleaning bay on the exterior south side of the building. The interior of the building will house our machines, tools, extra tires, belts, and daily needed cleaning supplies. We will also install a washer and dryer, employee restroom, and a small manager's office. All functions in and around the building will be to have our rigs prepped and stored when not in use.
So pretty much what you do down there already.
What we do down there already, yes, at 1203 Sutter Earth is where we are at. What we are allowed to do per proprietary rules from Polaris, because we cannot do certain things because we are within 100 miles of another dealer. We are only allowed to do our belt changes and our oil changes and tires. We do not do any major mechanical repairs, changes, we do not have the ability, nor will Polaris allow us to do that.
I think the question is, I mean, that's a different zoning down there,
Yes,
isn't it?
yeah, C2, they're in C2 down there, this is C3. C3 is not allowable automotive repair, but
Yeah.
I don't think they're repairing anyone's outside automotive, anyone's
Yeah,
outside
yeah.
autos.
Allowed.
They're just maintaining a vehicle inside the building, it won't be outside, no oil outside, none of
Oil
that stuff.
outside, and we always, if we ever have any oil, we do dispose of that per regulations.
Right. And Steph, Warren, I guess when the time comes, the fascia will be another issue. This is not going to be a metal building sitting back there in the back of, on Texas Street, correct?
That is correct. So, it has not gone through the architectural design, approval through the, our department. We've just gotten the basic renderings, but all of that will be, finalized and brought forth, to the standards. So right now, if they were to support something to us, we would have to go through the same, approval process as the ordinance allows, so it may have to be required to be wrapped or printed in a substantial material that is within the area, rather than just an exposed or the potential of the ratios that we were discussing last month.
Right.
Yes, we plan to, if we need to do a percentage of wood, or if we need to do stucco, we will adhere to what
We're
we-
working on that at this moment.
Yeah, you'll be able to see like the roof of us from Midtown. Yeah.
What,
Go ahead.
question for
Go ahead, Bill.
Stephanie, what's the current zoning on the 1203 Suttereth location?
They are in a C2
They're C2,
district.
C2 district?
My questions have, is the access off Texas Street?
Yes,
Last time I was down Texas Street, it was not much more than an alleyway. And
it is exactly that. So we're at the cul-de-sac. We're at the very, very end.
is there actually a cul-de-sac?
There is actually like, well,
I mean, could a
I
fire
wouldn't drive
truck
it,
turn
I wouldn't
around?
drive a dually down there to turn it
Okay,
around.
And that's part of my concern is that it's been unmaintained for,
Well, it is built, it's just very narrow. That is a point of concern that is required to be addressed and, completed. So, as you can see.
two cars going by at the same time.
A fire truck would have to go in reverse all the way from center to the location.
Is that an issue?
That is an issue. It was identified by fire, so there are going to need, let me see here. Fire department wrote,
Access and egress yields actual plans.
yes, so,
I mean,
the current,
personally, I'd love for the village to go in there and actually improve Texas Street and create another avenue and all the way to the other side of Center and make all that walking district type of thing, likewise with Rio, but that's another issue. But if we're going to start developing it, then the village, I think, needs to get involved and, improve the street as well.
so, yes, the additional, reviews will be done with our staff on, where the platted road is, what is allowable for widening, that kind of stuff. The applicant will have to supply, a more detailed plans on the entrance and how the fire trucks can get in if they were to come in, head-on, if they can turn around, how they're gonna access it, that kind of stuff. So all of the required, changes and identified stuff that you see on page 45 and 46, will have to be re-brought forth back to the Development Review Committee, make sure all of that is being addressed and work with the applicants to make sure that we can get all of the needs accommodated for them and the community as a whole, and then they can move into the building permit process.
So it sounds like we already know that this isn't gonna work, and you're presenting, not you, we're getting in front of the commission a, unfinished application, essentially.
The The site plan was not complete to mark all of the needed materials within there, but it was enough information for the committee to review the site and the proposal for what was given to us, and we were able to identify the points of concern for the applicant to move forward with on making sure that those were addressed.
Sorry, go ahead.
So what happens if they can't resolve the fire access,
Yeah.
The egress and ingress.
the ingress and egress? I mean, it's a street that's 8 feet wide right now.
So it'll have to meet conformance with the municipal code. There's really no ifs, ands, or buts.
And who's responsible for that?
The developer.
Okay. Because that's a long,
So,
For their access points, they would be required to meet the minimum requirements for the fire.
is that something that you've been made aware of, you or the property owner?
We have this checklist here for the access egress. We have been speaking about how we're going to do a driveway down there. And if that's a possibility, that if we can actually do a horseshoe-shaped driveway coming out of there, if that's something that they can turn into and turn around, we can look into that. However, that street it is very narrow, and this is kind of something that we were hoping to be able to come into and identify some more of the problems and issues and see what we can do to move forward from there.
The intent, real quick, sorry, and then I'll hand it over to you two, sorry. The intent is to move these vehicles from this property on Texas Street to the Boxcar Alley.
Yes, sir.
And those are adjacent lots, but you're gonna be moving them across the lots.
Yes.
And is there a road between the two, or is that already built,
We
or? I
will
mean,
we will drive them on Texas. As of this
So you'll
moment,
drive them all the way around to Texas?
we are going to be driveway right on Texas, and then our space is at the very back end of Boxcar Alley where we will park them, so we will only be on Texas Street. And whenever the people leave from our property for the self-guided tours, they will actually drive down Texas and then take a right onto Center.
So this is really a additional development compared to the Boxcar, right? Like it's all one,
Yes, it is all going to be backcountry attitudes. Our actual commercial space where everybody will be in is going to be at the very back. So those very back containers, yep, those right there, those
here?
teal ones, yes.
and
So
where's
that's,
and they're gonna be parked on
that parking
this?
space is right there, yes, sir.
Okay.
And so there's going to be a horseshoe-shaped parking back there that we're going to run them too wide as they come out. But in the evenings, since we are now down in the middle of Midtown, we would like them to be parked somewhere inside overnight.
And this parking spot that I'm looking at the last case on,
Yep.
goes straight to Texas?
Yes, that is right on Texas, yes, sir.
So, and just for a point of reference on that part, if you look at page 33, you can see where 125 Texas Street is marked with the red arrow. It's hard to see on the purple, I apologize. The very next property, as you move towards the left in the L shape, that's gonna be the old Rendezvous where Bob Maroney now has the real estate office. And then the next two pieces of property, it shows a division line with 2 Texas Street addresses and 1 in the front. That's the actual Boxcar Alley. So those 2 little dots in the back part is where there'll be parking. So that's the distance points. So you probably have maybe 50 feet. 75 feet tops.
Okay, thank you.
so I guess my question for the intent is to abandon the 1203 Sutterth location?
It is a leased property right now. So yes, we will be completely moving out of that property and it will be going to the next tenant.
What's the size of that property compared to this property?
Oh my gosh, way too much room. It's the old Hallmark. It's a 5,000 square foot building on, I don't know, a half-acre lot. Denise's space, yeah.
So you've got, just say for argument's sake, it's a 5,000 square foot building on a half
Occupied
acre.
by multiple tenants.
Yeah, occupied by multiple tenants. But I'm just worried that I don't think you have enough room to park all those vehicles on this lot as you depicted it.
We will park them as we have different appointment times that people go out per vehicle. So they will be able to put on that spot as needed. It has been measured whenever we will have 2 lanes that will be horseshoe parking, that we will be able to fit 20 machines in.
And turn around a fire truck potentially.
So all of that parking for those machines is completely off the road. They will not impede any of that. The thing that would impede that is the width of the street. Like I said, if that's something that we need to take into consideration as a horseshoe driveway at that end, at the Texas garage, if that's something that we need to do so that they can come in and then turn around, we can definitely look into that. We are hoping on putting that building, like I said, at the very northeast corner of that lot, so we will have more in the front of that building than we will behind it.
Okay. I think y'all had some questions.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Vicki.
Go ahead, I'll let you.
Vicki's like, I've been trying to talk for a long time.
Stephanie, is it not a cul-de-sac, 25 feet diameter, the turnaround space for our fire trucks?
I honestly am not quite familiar with the requirement on that.
A
It's
20,
pretty tight.
it is tight, but that's, I believe, what the requirement code
So
is. and
Texas Street is not a platted cul-de-sac. It does not contain a cul-de-sac. It does have a turnaround that has been kind of
Abandoned.
dug in over the years.
Over the years,
But it's, yeah, it's not there.
I'm just wondering, I'm sorry, if in this parking lot, which is apparently somewhere around 35 feet wide, would that not be a space that they could turn around if they needed to and come back out?
Potentially. This document that was provided today, has not been seen by the fire department or the development review. I got it just maybe 40 minutes before the hearing today. So the committee was only able to go by the, building specifications that you guys see on page 34 and 35.
Bart?
Looking at this plat on 33, at the end of Texas Street, it looks like a road that goes out to Wingfield, but I don't think it's ever been built. Is that platted or is that?
So that currently is a platted right-of-way. It is not a platted dedicated street. It does house infrastructure and drainage. Where this plat that you guys are seeing provided today says Juanita Avenue, that has been vacated for the last 30 years. So, it was absorbed into
Who
the
owns it?
properties.
Oh, it is.
So it's actually a drainage. What it does is they vacated that, so that little piece that you see come up and tap into it actually went all the way down and tapped into Sutterth Drive. If you were to follow that down, you would run smack dab into the, public restrooms in Midtown. So it was all vacated, easements were done, there's riprap and all kinds of stuff to try and slow the waters that were coming higher up off of the Wingfield down into Suttereth. So that was another point of concern, making sure that all the development hits those to where we're not starting to re-flood out the businesses that are on Suttereth again.
Okay, so there's no chance of turning that into a street and having to, that would give a fire truck access, you could turn it into one way.
I mean, potentially, there is another property that was looking, we were there, trying to identify, there are some opportunities of getting a connection, but it's not as simple as it looks on the black and white.
So, just to clarify, all we're doing is site plan concept approval. I don't know if we have enough information to approve a site plan because there's so many things that need to be mitigated. Maybe this is just a comment rather than a question. Including the street, like Texas Street has been vacant forever. I want development on it, and I think that this would be fine, but I don't know if we have the site plan the information necessary to vote yes or no on a site plan. Because we got this 40 minutes before, we don't know, I think we needs to come back. I think it needs to be, my opinion, again, a comment, I guess, is I think we either need to table this for more information. Because I don't think we have or we just say no, but then I don't want to say that. So I would argue that
We would
it's-
have the opportunity, you guys could either approve what you're seeing today in relation to what you're thinking, along with the conditions to meet all of the development review requirements. We can, have another development review, provide you an updated checklist and revisit this at the August meeting.
I think,
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
to have it tabled.
Yeah,
I do know
mean,
that Jasmine has been vigorously working on getting
Yeah.
all of this stuff addressed and redrawn for us. It just wasn't done after the development review before the meeting
Let's
for
give
me
'em
to
a
give you
fair
all a
shake.
different update.
I think it's tabled.
because
yeah,
best of my recollection, isn't Texas Street kind of just a gravel street time it gets down to that
No, it's
area?
paved.
Is it paved?
Ish.
Falling
That's the
apart.
ish part.
There's asphalt just kind of all over it.
Yeah, I'm just worried about a heavy loaded fire truck backing down in there and then
So the
something
fire
getting out of
trucks
hand they
do
can't get
go
out.
there as it is. There are developed residential properties off of, if you're going up towards their property from Center Street, there are residential properties on the left-hand side, or on the right-hand side.
Just checking everything.
So,
No,
I mean, they get there, it's just not,
it's hazardous.
so
More their
any
hazardous job.
new improvements that far down, they would like to
Yes.
make sure that everything can be accommodated.
Certainly.
So not only for this specific use, if something was to happen, they need to come down there, but the potential of any other future development or inhabitants of the property afterwards.
I agree with
Go ahead,
Chairman Rigsby.
Rick.
That long one?
Big one.
Hey, Rick, do you mind hitting your mic?
Are you talking, the one behind all the little dots? Sorry. That one right there? The same gentleman that owns 100 Butler Street, I think his name is Mr. Warren. It's currently for sale. For sale.
There's some cabins behind it.
I agree with you, Chairman Rigsby. I
think
think we
that-
need to,
To table it?
yeah, I mean, I think that's, to develop Texas Street is an awesome thing. We do need to develop that, and this right here kicks it off. But we do need to give them a fair shake in trying to get
I
all the
totally
information
agree.
to us before we turn them down.
The other thing that I will say, Stephanie, and maybe this is an oversight, unintentional, it's not an office building. So we need to get it presented to us for the use, which is to run backcountry outfitters. Again, I
So
love the company, but
The
It's not
only,
an office.
the only use that it could be is under the commercial office space, which is how they presented it. I'll find the other write-up, what was presented by Stephanie wasn't the same one. We were trying to see if it would even be an allowable use. So everything outside of that would not be.
I was gonna say, one of the reasons we are doing this today is because we know that this is a very unique ask. This is something that is not within Midtown right now, so really, we needed your, all of your insight to really help us know how we need to move forward on this.
then that would tell me that if we're looking for a yes, which that's fine, and we're saying that it's office, then it can only be office. You can't run it as storage, you can't run it as maintenance, you can't run it as replacing belts, because the use is office.
Under allowable uses, up at 54, 53.1 on page 41 of 66, commercial uses, light vehicle washing establishment. which
But
I
not
think
for
is really-
C3. It's not permitted or conditional for C3. So like, I think that needs to be explored as well, Stephanie,
So-
because right now, you're
That's why
telling
this
us.
was being explored the way it is, so they are running it as, we were, presented with a written statement that they would be running it as a commercial office building. They would be doing minor repairs to their own stuff, it's not a public building, it would not constitute, any type of, like the tire shops and oil changes, because it's not to the public, it's simply for their business operations, but solely that this was going to be used as a commercial office space for their
on personal.
adventures.
The stated use doesn't align with anything we have in there.
What was stated during the public hearing today did not align with the statement that was provided
Right,
before.
okay, so let's,
Okay,
I would entertain a motion to table, because there's a lot of questions on this.
I think that goes back to like when we talk about something else, it always turns into a gas station.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
it's the
instead
furthest thing from a gas station, because that's the way our code's written.
Right. I would rather we find the right way to do this to help them get their business
Yes.
up and running, rather than bending our neck around to make it something that it's not
And I
supposed to
think
be.
that's what she said. She's looking for our insight to help them.
Okay, so I'd entertain a motion if there is one to table.
Make a motion to table.
I'll second.
Motion to table, second. Any other discussion? Okay,
that help
let's
you,
do a roll
Steph?
call vote then, Steph, to table.
Commissioner Ball?
Aye.
Commissioner Byers?
Aye.
Commissioner Hall?
Aye.
Commissioner McElina?
Aye.
Commissioner Richardson?
Aye.
Commissioner Rigsby?
Aye.
Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Okay, motion has been tabled.
Thank you. Thank you for coming in and
Of
talking.
course, yes, thank you guys for your
We'll work
time.
with you. We just gotta have more information.
You know, if you
I
could
wanna see
address
it.
some of the things on this checklist too, like where you're gonna put your trash cans and that kind of thing.
We have
That's important.
addressed some of it. There is already a trash can there, even though it says that we can't have one. There is already a dumpster in front of it. As far as landscaping goes, we were going to walk it with forestry and see where things go out. All of those things, this right now is just seeing if we can stick our building back there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Let's move on.
Thank you.
All right, we don't have any old business, so let's move to our community development report. Stephanie?
So currently for our report, we did attach the May development, report for you guys. Any questions you may have, I can, answer for you.
Any questions for staff?
I didn't see any. No, I don't have any.
Okay.
I'm looking at this STR uncertain compliance status. It looks like it's increased considerably. Is this because of the new software that we have employed?
Currently, this is not, showing the new software, stats yet. The software is on the final, workout of getting all the uploads into it and getting ready to be, used. So the increase of the findings are going to be, properties that are found that may have started renting while they're expired, their statuses, that kind of stuff. And then we are actively identifying ones that are unpermitted as well.
Other questions for staff? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move to commissioners' comments.
I
Any
have
com-
another.
Oh, you do? Okay,
Yes.
go ahead, Steph.
So, last month, I was able to, go to the New Mexico League of Zoning Officials Conference. I was able to take Bart, to attend to that. It was his first time. I know a couple of y'all have been able to go. However, during our few days there, we had a presenter, his name was, Brennan Williams, and he is, super knowledgeable, and he gave a really good, presentation, and has in the past, the ones that I've done, about different type of land use official training, items, and he has, agreed to give us a training for you guys here, for the staff, or for you guys as a commission. Right now, I've put together kind of a highlighted list of some things that I think would help benefit you guys, in the materials that we view, why we do what we do, rules and orders, things of that nature. And, he did give me a list of some days, and I want to see if any of these may work for you. If they don't, we can get them later. But currently, we're looking that he has openings on July 24th or 25th, August 21st or 22nd. So those are the kind of closer days. If you guys want to look and see, and maybe send me an email on what you're looking at. I haven't really been able to look at our calendars yet either. But potentially for the list of, stuff we're looking at, and I can pass this around, I highlighted, the things that I think would be best. It's looking like a 6-hour session, so it'd start off at 9 and be done around 3. So we could knock it out in one day. It's high level, it's not, too in-depth, but it's very informative, and I think a lot of the things, and this still allows for questions and answering, but you guys may benefit a lot from seeing different aspects and stuff, and I'm not sure if Bart has anything he'd like to contribute about this presenter, but I think you guys would really enjoy it. August, we're looking at the 21st or 22nd.
Thursday or Friday, basically.
I can't do that Friday on the 22nd either.
We can try and look a little further out, but the yellow ones are the ones I was looking for.
Okay.
So if you
Why don't we-
share that.
Why don't we email Steph our availability? It
Yeah.
sounds like there might be some dates that work better than others, but,
And if potentially I'd have to see if he can come twice, if only some of y'all can come on one day and some of y'all can come on the next, maybe I can get him to do an additional, so either way, but, we were approved to try and move forward with that and get y'all some additional trainings. Cause I know it's been a while since some of y'all gotten anything. So.
and it shows, you know?
No, you guys do great, but there's so much new stuff all the time, and I
Yeah.
think, you know, it may help to,
Gotta follow the rules.
Vote on a
That's
new
right.
chairman? Can we still vote on a new chairman?
yeah, we do that in January.
Just a couple more months, Bart, or Bill, and then you can get rid of me.
Just remember, condescension is sarcasm's angry little cousin.
All right. Thanks, Steph. We'll get you our availability. Anything else from the Community Development Office?
Other than that, no, I do not believe so.
Does that mean you will be emailing us those dates and then we can respond to that
Yes,
email,
yeah,
please?
I'll send that out and wait for y'all to respond back to it.
Thank you.
And then I'll also put a copy of this, this sheet of what I was looking at proposing for classes.
Okay. All right. Let's move to commissioners' comments. Anything from the commission? Happy birthday, Ron.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Where's the key?
That's
the
next
city?
year.
Oh, okay.
I'll make up a key to
You
something.
don't want that.
Closet in Village Hall or something.
Don't ask for what you don't want.
Any other comments? I appreciate y'all working through this today. We had a couple very interesting ones, so thank you all. Yeah, if there's nothing else, we can adjourn if there's a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Got a motion to adjourn in a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned.
We adjourn.
That went well.
Texas Street is barely wider than my super.
Right.
Well, I think we should update it.
ATVs to get there.
The other side past Center Street.